you horny-ass demons, and welcome to this— Wait, why didn't you post anything in the past few days? Anyway, welcome to this review of Helluva Boss Season 2 finale, Sinsmas. And talking about Sinsmas, look at that, it's Christmas! Well, at least it was the day I wrote that script. And just before we get into it, I just want to warn you about something real quick. I like Helluva Boss. I genuinely really do. No matter what anyone says, but like everything on earth, nothing is perfect, and that's also the case here. This season 2 was good in a lot of ways, as it was bad in a lot of ways, which is why in my reviews, I try to be as honest as I can be about what I think, with it being the qualities as well as the flaws. I'm not lying when I say Helluva Boss has a lot of flaws, but that doesn't make me like it less. With that said, I hope you do not come at me for some of my criticism, or if you do, try to be creative about it. If I have to read the hate comments, let me have some fun while we're at it. With that out of the way, don't forget to like and subscribe, and very important, comment your thoughts. And finally, this might be my last long video of the year, and I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. When I started this channel, I really did not think I'd get this far, especially 27,000 subscribers far. I'll try to make more different videos in the year to come, and I hope you'll all stick with me until then. And without further ado, let's get into the review.
I can't recognize people who aren't hot.
Is it called rudeness?
It is?
The episode starts with Stolas' new life with Blitzø, with no money, no daughter, and no meds, transforming this depressed little owl into a ticking time bomb. After a month, Sinsmas arrives and Blitzø suggests Stolas to accompany him to the office to work there. They go to work, and while M&M are play fighting, Stolas is having a revelation.
I'm poor now!
Honestly, valid reaction, because imagine you were rich all of your life since the moment you were born, and for as long as you can remember you never had to worry about a single thing, and then one day, all of a sudden, all of your wealth is gone, you have no house, no car, no rights, not even a single dime, and now you have to do some hard work for the first time in your entire existence. Yeah, I know, I would cry harder, if not 2 times harder than Stolas. Let me out of here! Octavia, on the other hand, feeling betrayed by her dad's actions, finds his enormous stock of happy pills and decides to finally go see him. And talk about bad timing, because Stolas had the same idea. Meanwhile, Blitz is sparing a family. Well, talk about character development. In the end, Stolas is having a kaiju fight with Andrelphus, Blitz and the gang arrives to save him, Octavia is the one to finally defeat him before having a final conversation with her dad that kind of went like this. At the end of the episode, Blitz is trying to confront Stolas with the most romantic death I've seen in my life.
Because relationships are boring.
Sure. And Millie is pregnant. Millie's pregnant, and that's the end of this episode. What the fuck did I just watch? It was a nice episode, but golly, you could have slowed down on the informations, because what the hell?
Let's act out my Sonic fan fiction. I'll pick something family-friendly.
I want to bring this up before we go through the complicated stuff. This episode wasn't perfect, and right now I have a little criticism that I've been hiding for a while now, but after the release of this Season 2 finale, I am now convinced of it. The thing is, Stella is annoying. And not in the she's a villain so you're supposed to hate her kind of annoying. Her character is very frustrating. Let me explain. Throughout the course of the show, it was obvious Stella would become this abusive partner character, and her as a villain was actually something I got engaged in. But as time went on, I started to realize I didn't like her character. Don't get me wrong, I see what they wanted to do with her, but the thing is, she's too evil. But like, so cartoonishly evil, it's actually cringe. Her behavior felt so unnatural, and I mean, okay, it's fictional, but it's to a point where whenever she's on screen, I want the scene to be over faster. The way she was just screaming hilarious at Andrelphus was just so fucking infuriating. It felt so long, I think I skipped 10 seconds without realizing it. And like I said, I see what they wanted to do with this character, but I feel like they wasted so much potential. Like, for example, I don't know, her relationship with her daughter. Like I said a few days ago, their relationship is as deep as my bank account, aka non-existent. Like, can you believe that we are now in the Season 2 finale of Helluva Boss, and this might be the first time we ever hear Stella talking to Octavia? And it's not even a proper dialogue! I remember people saying she's poisoning her daughter's thoughts of her father, but that's assuming she ever has any conversation with her daughter. And as for Andrelphus, I still like him, but if he continues on making dumb decisions, that affection might start to fade. I remember seeing a comment stating that the villains in Helluva Boss aren't that good, and I'ma be honest, I kind of agree with this statement, because of all the villains in this show, the only one I somewhat take a little bit seriously is Crimson, because Dorks is a dumb organization with a dumbass plan, the Cheer-Ups are starting to get as annoying as Stella sometimes, Stella is just dead to me, and Adrelphus is on the 50-50 wavelength in my opinion as of now. And second thing that I need to get off my chest, the Stolas conclusion went too fast. You remember my criticism in my last video? Well, I still stand by it. They definitely broke things up in Apology Tour. Then Ghostfucker arrives and Stolas is nowhere to be seen, and just after that they confess their feeling in Mastermind. It went so fast, not to mention some plot points that just got glazed over. I mean, in Apology Tour during Stolas' song, it seems like Stolas acknowledges some of his fault. Because while Blitz fucked up, Stolas did equally as much when he unintentionally dismissed their difference in status or the whole contract that was his idea to begin with. I didn't bring this up before because I was waiting for the finale, hoping they would touch on that. They never did. Actually, I feel like they just forgot about it so that we can have our lovey-dovey ship canon faster. I mean, yes, there's the whole drama with Octavia. That doesn't erase any of the things that happened before. But like I said in the beginning, that's my take on it. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments.
I'm really sorry I didn't come to your dad's funeral.
Well, speaking of things that came out of nowhere, Millie was definitely one of my biggest surprises this episode. Her being pregnant was not only unexpected, but also destroyed the fandom as if a nuke just dropped. Because not only do we get a pregnancy reveal, but Millie's reaction to it stirred a lot of theories. After finding out she's pregnant, Millie starts crying, calling her sister, asking what she's supposed to do. Which honestly, given the circumstances she's in, is pretty logic. Just to remind you, her and Moxie live in a shabby apartment with a dangerous job, not to mention Moxie's family. I'm pretty sure that if Crimson learns about this pregnancy, things could get very messy. And don't forget the fact that just finding out that you're pregnant can be a very stressful situation, especially if it was unexpected. So her reaction is actually pretty normal. But some people believe that her reaction means that she wants to abort and is scared to tell Moxie, which I don't believe that's what's gonna happen, but we never know, I guess. But hey, at least it's not that bad of a theory, considering that I've seen a few people say that her reaction is because she cheated on Moxie. Really, guys? Millie cheating on Moxie? Even as a joke, that is too far-fetched. Not to mention this person claiming, and I quote, that Millie cheating on Moxie with Sally? Bro, that's not even funny. What the fuck is wrong with your brains? Please get checked. I'm genuinely worried. But anyway, what we do know at least is that this pregnancy will probably lead to a whole ton of drama, and I hope to God that we don't dwell on a Millie is scared to tell Moxie scenario. I will tolerate one episode of it, but I swear to God if it drags on in season 3, I'm gonna lose my marbles because I hate those kind of scenarios.
So when I wrote all this, it became canon in reality. Excuse me for a second.
After the events in Mastermind, Bliss is taking care of Stolas. In a very cute way, I'll admit. It seems he is really going towards an enormous character growth. After all, before Mastermind, he genuinely thought that no one could really like him, especially to a certain extent. His accident in the circus made everyone he loves either turn their backs on him or just die, making him believe that his presence only made things worse. Hence why he always cut his previous relationships before it got too serious. For his own safety, but for the others as well, thinking they would get hurt too, and because he couldn't believe anyone would say Sally stick with him. But with Ghostfuckers, Bliss realized that his actions can indeed save people instead of hurting them. And in Mastermind, Stolas put his life on the line for Blitz. This time, there's no room for doubt. And he makes it clear in Sinsmas. Blitz is trying his hardest to help Stolas adjust to his new life, and I'll admit that the montage right here was pretty darn sweet. But what really caught my attention was this scene with the human family. Blitz is hesitating because they remind him of his life and what he could have. A family. And I just love how in his fantasy he is also imagining Octavia as well, meaning he can't accept having this dream family without her in it. Too bad we got drama instead. And then we have the whole ending, which kind of parallels the episode Full Moon. Let me explain. In this scene, after Blitz opened up with his sister, the others are asking him to come back inside, to which Stolas adds that he can go and that he doesn't have to worry about him. But Blitz stayed, and that reminded me of Full Moon, when Stolas asked Blitz to stay with him only if he wanted to. Well, this time, he definitely stayed. And in the end, he hugs Stolas while Stolas, still in shock after what happened, just closed his eyes. I don't know how season 3 is gonna go, but I think we will have a long way before they start being totally open with each other, which fair considering Stolas' situation, but we'll have to see how it's gonna play out.
Do you love me too?
Excuse me?
Okay, this one's gonna be long. So after this episode first aired, a wild debate starting to emerge in the community. The subject being, who's the asshole, featuring Stolas and Octavia. There were people saying Stolas was the bad guy and others stating Octavia was a dumbass, and you might be curious on which side I must stand, and I feel like you'll be shocked because roll the drums, I'm on both sides here. Let me explain. Their arguments isn't just a you're right, you're wrong type of situation, because for me, both Octavia and Stolas had valid concerns and completely understandable reactions to their upbringing. Let's review what happened for a minute, starting with Octavia. And just to be perfectly clear, her feelings this episode were 100% valid. Yes, she's misunderstanding some things and she does not have the full picture, but from her point of view and what she's going through right now, her reaction is, in my opinion, totally justified. Let's rewind for a second. From the moment she was born until today, it was clear that her only real parental figure was her dad. We still don't really know what kind of relationship she had with her mother, but from their interactions in this episode and the few clues we had previously, we can assume that it's not very deep or even non-existent, portraying Stella as a dismissive figure at best or full-on neglectful at worst. With the few times we see Stella showing her affection being when she's plotting against her now ex-husband. Not only that, but we don't really see Octavia have any real social life other than in this castle. So growing up, Octavia only had her dad. He was her only rock and her sole shoulder to rely on in this overly dysfunctional family. So the betrayal she felt on Sinsmas isn't just for peanuts. In Lululand, her already broken family is truly coming apart. At least before the cheating, there was some sort of balance. It was swinging left and right, ready to crumble, but it was still somewhat standing. But after the cheating, this balance finally gave in, with Octavia standing in the middle of it. Of course, she knew her family wasn't a really functional one. She may be 17, but she's not that stupid. I'm pretty sure she picked on the fact that her parents never loved each other, but she still held hope at this swinging balance with her dad being the one trying to hold it together. But after the cheating, she became self-conscious, because for the first time, her dad decided to crush that balance, leaving her with a ton of insecurities. What did he do it? Was it because of me? Is he planning on leaving? Will he now abandon me? That was her biggest fear. She wasn't mad about the cheating per se, but mad at the fact that he truly destroyed that tiny bit of balance without letting her the chance to speak her voice. And at the end of the episode, she tells him her fears, to which Stolas responds with a promise, the promise to never leave her side for Blitz, to never abandon her to pursue someone else. Well, guess what happens? Stolas, on the other hand, didn't have it easy. Since the moment of his birth, his life was all decided, and he had no say in it. His father didn't really care about him, but only about how he'll carry out his lineage, and he was forced into an arranged marriage with Stella, which is the equivalent of marrying the Antichrist. Or I guess Jesus in his point of view? Anyway, he was forced to put up with all of this without his consent, essentially, slowly drowning in misery with no strength left to swim back up to the surface or mutter a word. And then Octavia arrived, and for the first time since a decade, he had something to hold on. Way before Blitz came around, Octavia became his light, the one person that managed to get him out of bed after a long time. He tried his best to give her a better childhood than his, to be with her, to be a good father, because he truly loved her. But that doesn't mean he wasn't still depressed. Stella was humiliating him at every turn, and he had to attend his prince duties, which he hated. He had Octavia, sure, but that doesn't erase everything. And then he met Blitz again, and this time it was like a second light had appeared. His life made him drown, but Octavia made him held on. With Stella, he was miserable, but with Blitz, he was alive. I want you all to understand that for Stolas, both of them are very important to him. But for Octavia, she sees this as an attempt to flee this life and leave her behind. And her fears, unfortunately, came kind of true with Mastermind. Because to her, the one thing she asked him to do, to not leave her for Blitz, he did it. And I know you were gonna say, but no, there's more to it. Blitz was gonna die if he didn't intervene, and Stella and Adrelphus plotted it. Well, newsflash, Stolas didn't just come and try to talk or even reason with anyone in court. He was prepared to take Blitz's sentence. He was prepared to die for Blitz, leaving his daughter behind. Do you have any idea how brutal this is? And Octavia witnessed it with her own two eyes on live TV. Yes, the situation was dire. Yes, he didn't have time to think, but ultimately it was his decision and he didn't even hesitate. Octavia was quite literally about to lose her dad. This is way more traumatic than you would think. Thank God instead he got stripped out of his status and power, but that doesn't change what I've said. But on the other hand, well, it wasn't a bad decision. Yeah, I know, weird statement after everything I've said in my last review, but let me make myself clear. For everything Stolas has done, I never said that he made a bad call. Ultimately, Blitz was about to die. Of course he couldn't let him get killed, especially for a situation he was a part of. Like Stolas said, saving Blitz was the right thing to do, but for Octavia, it was like having a knife impaled in her heart. After all, in her eyes, he threw up everything, including her, for Blitz. He's now gone for the next 100 years, and that's where we are left off in Sinsmas. Stolas is trying to contact Via, but her mother and uncle doesn't let her take the call, leading to a whole monk flying by. And at this point, Stolas is at his limits while Octavia had time to think and finally make her decision. In her song, she said that she won't forgive him this time. He hurt her too much and this was the last straw. How can she possibly forgive him when he shattered his promise once again? And then she finds Stolas' pill and now Octavia doesn't know where to stand. Because to her now, it's not just her dad decided to leave because he loves Blitz more than her. He decided to leave because all of these years he was miserable. And now she has more questions, with one being, is it my fault? And finally, we have their last conversation at the end of the episode. She finally asked about the pills, to which Stolas responded that she was the only good thing in her life. And Octavia answers this.
So does that mean you just stayed miserable because of me? Was I some fucking obligation? Is that why you didn't even hesitate when you got a chance to leave?
Okay, I find this interesting because this time Octavia believes that the reason he stayed with her was because he didn't have a choice, that he stayed to fulfill his duties while he was suffering on the inside, because to her, he stayed with them because of her, meaning he became more and more miserable because of her. With all of that, she doesn't know what to believe anymore, so she finally cuts him out. Stolas, on the other hand, is becoming more and more desperate, even having some regrets at one point, because to his eyes, he just dropped everything to save a man he's not even sure loves him as much as he does. Hence why I think Blitz saving Stolas at the end was such a big deal, because to Stolas it was proof that Blitz also cared, erasing Stolas' lasting regrets, even saying to Blitz at the end that he made the right call, and that all of this is just the consequences of his actions, which is true to a certain extent. I mean, he did almost die in Mastermind, but the whole situation was much more Andrelphus' fault. Of course, the drama between Octavia and Stolas has some truth to it. It was his decision to sacrifice himself and leave her daughter behind, but to flat out say it was all the consequences of his action is not that accurate. Stella was the one to hire an assassin, and Andrelphus is the one who twisted the truth in court, so yeah, him saying it's all his fault is not very true. But again, that's how I see things. Feel free to tell me what you think. Honestly, I feel like I wasn't the best at explaining my thoughts in this one. I'm really not that good at making reviews, but I hope I've made some of my points clear. The only thing I hope for now is that season 3 will be better at handling some of the characters and their issues, especially with Stolas, and well, we'll see how everything's gonna play out. And that's the end of this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment your thoughts, and I'll see you around.